One of the strangest and best things that can happen to a person is to fall in love. Even though it's different for everyone, there are some common thoughts and feelings that can help people know when it's happening. You might be having a clear sign, like being unable to think about anyone or anything else but that person, or you might be having more subtle signs. No matter what it is, there's no doubt that falling in love in the complicated dating world of today is hard. To make things a little easier to understand, I talked to psychologists about some clear signs that you might be falling in love with someone. 1. You can't look away from them. It's a classic sign of being in love when you can't take your eyes off the person you like. Mark Heister, a psychology consultant, says that this is one of the clearest signs that you're falling in love with someone. Why wouldn't you want to look into the eyes of the most beautiful and attractive person you've ever seen? He replies. When you love someone, you don't just see what they look like when you look at them. You might be able to see your whole future together, or at least think about what it might be like. You are looking for something, says Heister. If you've ever seen a mother lovingly look at her newborn baby or her other child, you'll know what it's like to stare at the person you love all the time. 2. You abandon your usual activities. Madeline Mason Rountree, a dating psychologist, says that if you enjoy spending time with someone, the reward system in your brain makes you want more of that time. You start to want to be with them, she says. You might also start to think of ways to be close to them, like taking up their hobbies in the hopes that it will help your relationship grow. Mason Rountree says, for example, you might hate salsa but sign up for a salsa class anyway, even if they are not in the class, because you feel closer to them that way. It also gives you something else to talk to them about, and it might be a way to get them to hang out with you more. 3. You don't care if they do something ugly. Heister says that the power of love, especially the power of new love, is very old. This means that you won't mind if the person you're falling for does something you might find unattractive, like being messy or leaving the toilet seat up. It's possible you won't even notice. Love can be very strong and can make a person lose all inhibitions, says Heister. Think about parents who love their baby and how they will admit that they love their child no matter how dirty they are or how much they keep the baby from sleeping. 4. When you're with someone, time flies. Daria Kus, a licensed psychologist, says that if you are falling in love with someone, your time with them will probably go by very quickly. This is often the case when we're doing something we like, and spending time with someone we're falling in love with is no different. When you're with them, you're in the flow, she says. So you won't notice how fast time is going when you're together. 5. They can't make a mistake. Heister says that falling in love can change a little bit how you see the world. It's likely that if you love someone very much, you'll have an unrealistic view of who they are and how they present themselves, he says. So, even if you tend to criticize what other people do or say, you might love what your partner does or says because, in your eyes, they can't do anything wrong. Even if they have socks on with their sandals. Isn't that what makes them so pretty? He goes on. When you're in love, all you see is a version of beauty that doesn't seem to be up for debate. It is the idea you have of the person on whom all your feelings center. 6. You feel more upbeat than usual. Mason Rountree says that when you're falling in love, everything else in your life might feel weirdly great. You might also feel a little more energized for no apparent reason, she adds. This is the result of all the dopamine hits you've been getting from thinking about your partner and doing things with them or that remind you of them. The act of looking forward to something makes you feel less stressed, so looking forward to being with your partner makes your mental health better and makes you feel better about life. 7. You feel like touching and kissing them. Again, this may seem like a no-brainer. But there's a lot more to why you want to touch and kiss someone you're falling for than you might think. Oxytocin, the love hormone, is released when you touch someone you're falling in love with. Kus says, this will make you happy and make the bond between you and your partner stronger. 8. You think about them all the time. Heister says that when we fall in love, we give our feelings to the other person. Hexter says that when we surrender, we become one with that person and are so focused on them that they take over our thoughts. Again, this is in part because oxytocin is released in the brain when people have sex. It can change how you feel, how you think, and how you connect with other people, says Hexter. All these things can make you feel closer to someone and increase feelings of love. 9. You hope they are happy. Hexter says that when you start to like someone, you might find yourself being more helpful than usual. This is a sign of deeper, longer-lasting love, he says, adding that it is a sign of love that has grown up. There are a few ways to tell if you're falling in love. You can't stop thinking about the person. When you're falling in love, it's common to think about the other person all day long. You might think about them even when you should be thinking about something else. You feel a rush of emotions when you're around them. Love is a strong feeling, and when you're around the person you're falling for, you might feel a rush of emotions. When you're with them, you might feel jumpy, nervous, or excited. You want to spend more time with them. When you're falling in love, you might want to spend more and more time with the person. You could change your plans or give up something to be with them more often. You start to put their needs and wants ahead of your own. As you fall in love, you may start to put the other person's needs and wants ahead of your own. This can show that you care about them a lot and want them to be happy. When you're falling in love, you might feel comfortable opening up to the other person and telling them your deepest thoughts and feelings. You show more affection. When you fall in love with someone, you may show them more affection. You might feel like touching, hugging, or holding their hand more often. You start to think about a future with them. When you fall in love with someone, you may start to think about a future with them. You might imagine growing old together, going on trips, or starting a family. It's important to remember that falling in love is a complicated and personal process and that not everyone will experience these signs in the same way or to the same degree. When you're with them, you feel happy and at peace. Falling in love can give you a sense of happiness and peace that you may not have felt before. When you're with the person you're falling for, you might feel happier and more hopeful. You pay more attention to them and care more about what's going on in their life. When you're falling in love, you may become more interested in the other person's life and hobbies. You could ask them more questions, listen to what they have to say more carefully, and show that you're interested in what they have to say. You have physical symptoms. Sometimes, when you fall in love, you get butterflies in your stomach, your heart rate goes up, or your palms start to sweat. These signs could mean that your body is reacting to your strong feelings. It's important to keep in mind that falling in love can also make you feel vulnerable and even scared. Before jumping into a relationship, it's okay to take things slowly and give yourself time to figure out how you feel. And if you're not sure if you're falling in love, it's okay to talk to someone you trust or a mental health professional to help you sort out your feelings.